Last week I did a poll on the channel and asked you which of the different eras you liked. You could have had 50s or 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s and the 2000s, or the 2010 to 2020s. Overwhelmingly, the 70s and the 80s came top. And that's no real big surprise to me, to be honest, because most of the people around my age were growing up as teens and young adults in that era. And what I wanted to do today was just raid my racks, if you like. Go through them and pull out some albums from those great years that I've got, that I love, and that maybe you haven't seen on this channel yet. It's going to be a quick fire run through of some of these albums which I absolutely love. And we're going to start off in 1976 with Al Stewart's Year of the Cat. What a great album this was. I played it to death. I still play it to death. It's a brilliant album that I've totally loved for ages. Next up, Carly Simon's Anticipation. The first album, I believe, that I can remember anyway, from her long-running list of great albums. This is a gem. It's one that I still love, I still play. It's got no real big hits on it, but it's just a great album to have and a great one to listen to. Now, during the mid-70s and moving in towards the 80s, I got onto that little disco groove. And they were great times for me. But I was not a completely disco person, because I've always been a bit of a pop-tart and gone across the board. No more so than this one, the Boomtown Rats and Tonic for the Troops. I liked these straight away. They was a bit weird. That's what they looked like in those days. Bob Geldof and Co. Like Clockwork. Oh, just a great, great album that I've kind of liked all the time. No more so than this next one, which is a classic, and everybody would expect me to have this in my collection. Fleetwood Mac, Rumours. Well, I've had it in my collection since 1977, but I've had it borrowed a few times since then as well. And I got this version back a couple of years ago when my son bought it for me for Christmas. So I'm pleased to have that back in my collection. Now, when I talked about disco back in 1978, there were some great artists about, and there were some artists who wanted to make it into that disco field. Some such as Rod Stewart with this, Blondes Have More Fun. We all know the song, don't we? Do You Think I'm Sexy? I remember going and seeing Rod Stewart around this time, and he was brilliant. This album's not much liked by a majority of Rod Stewart fans, but for me, because of the nostalgia in it, it's an album that I love. And when I look down this list of songs, they all kind of bring back memories for me. And so this is an album that I absolutely love. In my lifetime, I've seen two artists on stage that absolutely I thought were the best of all the ones I've seen. I've seen Michael Jackson. I've seen a lot of big stars. But the two concerts I loved most involved singer-songwriters who walked on the stage, just started playing songs and telling their story. One of them was Bill Withers, the other, James Taylor. I love James Taylor's stuff. I've got plenty of his albums, but I thought I'd show you this one, Mudslide Slim, because I don't think I've shown you this one yet. I've watched him over the years, and you can listen to lots of his albums and lots of his songs, and they're just all, much of the muchness, they're all pretty good. Yeah, I love James Taylor. The next one is A Memory. This album, when I was about 18 and 19, and I was at Great Yarmouth, a group of us used to go out all the time. And there was this restaurant called Zach's. And it was a burger joint, if you like. It was styled American. It was always had a nice atmosphere to it. And we used to eat there a lot. We'd go out and that would be our stopping place. And for 1 year, every single time I went in there, they were playing the same album. And because we went in there so much, I grew to like the album. And I bought it. What was it? It was this one. Ricky Lee Jones. Ricky Lee Jones. It's the one where Chucky's in love. They played this all the time. And in the end, I grew to love it so much because I kept hearing it there. So when I listen to this record today, it kind of brings back some happy memories for me. 1979, another great singer-songwriter, Christopher Cross. This album's brilliant. I expect most people who like Christopher Cross will already have this, and you'll know why. There was one big artist. I'm not a lover of live albums. Never have been. I always think that you've got to be at the concert to get the aura of it, if you like. And I think most live albums don't do it for me. But one did. One did. 1976. You know the one. Frampton Comes Alive. It's just one of these albums that you had to have. I mean, Show You the Way was on it, and that was the big one for me. When I first heard that, I thought it was brilliant. And then I kept hearing these other songs, and they were all off this live album, and I thought, I don't like live albums, but I like this one, and that's why I got it. Next up, if you like Pina Colada, you probably bought this thing. It's a great album. Pina Colada is actually the song that I dislike the most on it, probably because it's been overplayed. The song for me is Him, and it's just a really good album that over the years I've played over and over again. I haven't played it much recently. I'm going to have to give that another spin. Now, there was a group in the 70s called Roxy Music who were very big, and their lead singer was Bryan Ferry, and he went his own way. And in the mid-70s, 77 I think it was, he did a song that I like called Tokyo Joe. And because of it, I went and bought this album. Bryan Ferry, In Your Mind. Really good. This Is Tomorrow is on it. Tokyo Joe is on it. And a lot of other songs that I think you'd really like. If you like him, you'll like this. There was a band that I thought were great in the 70s. They were from Manchester. They were different. Their records seemed different to everybody else's. They had this huge hit called I'm Not in Love, which I hated, by the way. But I did like most of their stuff. And this is a great album. Can you see that? Deceptive Bends? They looked a bit like this. This is two of them. This had been, by this stage, they'd split and gone their way. And this wasn't the best version of it. I've got about 5 of their albums in there, but I just thought I'll bring this one because it's got a pretty picture on it. But yeah, 10cc were a band that I loved. Time for a superstar. We all have to have a superstar in our collections, don't we? And to my mind, this is the best work that this superstar did. Off the Wall is just a stunning album. It's an album that reminds me of a lot of good times. When this came out, I was 18, 19, going out, footloose, fancy free, you know the thing, and living with a life of songs like Rock With You, Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, Off the Wall. All great songs, and it's a brilliant album that I love. We're still in the 70s. We're coming to the end of the 70s though, but I have to tell you about this one. I was 16. I met this girl. I went and see her a few times. I was in love. She was my first love. I bought her this. What a soundtrack. I love this today. But this is the soundtrack of my very first love. Sadly, 3 weeks later, she dumped me for someone who had a car. But the funny thing is that I was 16 then. I will be 66 in a few days. And we're still great friends. After all these years, I didn't see her for years. And then I bumped into her one day and we just got on like a house on fire. She's a great friend of mine. She was the first person I loved. And this is the album that commemorates that. Right, we're into the 80s. In the 80s, I was still into my soul and stuff like I've always been, really. But there were so many good different records out. And there were some good bands about. This one I loved, Heaven 17. Do you remember this one? Penthouse and Pavement. This is a gem. I remember I borrowed this, first of all, off of a friend of mine to record like you did in those days. But I liked it so much, the cassette didn't do what I wanted from it. So I ended up going out and buying it. What a good album that is. There are some artists that we kind of learnt about in different ways. This one, I learnt about from Michael J. Fox, really. Huey Lewis and the News, great songs. I've got to say, this isn't one of the best. This isn't the best one. I preferred 4, but I haven't got 4 anymore for some reason. My favourite record of his, Doing It All For My Baby, probably. Great artist. It's a shame the music did lots of damage to his ears. And sadly, he doesn't do anything anymore, which is a shame. One of my listeners on the radio told me about this piano teacher she had, and she went, he used to be a pop star. I don't think you'll have heard of him, because at the time I was doing a soul channel. And it turned out it was this guy, Howard Jones, Human's Web. What a great album this was. I love Pearl in the Shell. Love Pearl in the Shed. Love Pearl in the Shell. Love New Song. It's full of great songs. Hide and Seek. He was different. There's this one guy standing with an organ playing stuff, and he was brilliant. The next one is one that I should never have liked. They were completely off of my radar. They played music that I shouldn't have liked, but somehow there was something about it that I really enjoyed. And that's John and Vangelis. The Friends of Mr. Cairo. I'll Find My Way Home. They had an album out before this that I can't think of the name of off the top of my head. And the singles used to simply be on the radio all the time. And at first I didn't like it, but slowly, bit by bit, I started to like them. And this is a great album that I'm really pleased to have. Now, there was another band. They may not be so well known in America, but over here I thought they were just the bee's knees. Quirky. They liked a little bit of Latin in their stuff. There was a pop band. They had all these little different quirky bits to it. They had a Polish lead singer. And they were great. Matt Bianco, I thought their albums were really good. The singer, Basha, went solo, and she did some great stuff as well. I've got all of these their albums. I've got Basha's albums as well. And they were so brilliant. They were quirky. They were off the wall. But they had a bit of class to them. I don't know how any other way to put it. Massive over here. I don't know how they fared elsewhere in the world, but over here they were great. Back in 1980, we were listening to the sorts of things like Diana Ross and Upside Down. There would be Chic doing all of their disco hits. And then in the UK, there's this one band that came out of nowhere playing reggae, but they were all from Birmingham. They spoke with a Brummie accent. And they'd all been signed on unemployed in the UK. And their first album was called Signing Off, because they all used this and got off of the dole. They were great. They had some brilliant records. UB40, their name was. And this album changed how a lot of people felt about reggae in the UK, because reggae wasn't a massive thing. We had Bob Marley and a few others, but no one really big. And this band took off and did so well. Next up, an artist who I thought at the time was something special. I watched a program. There used to be a program called The Last Resort in the UK, and it was hosted by Jonathan Ross. And these pop artists of the time would come on there and sing other people's songs. And this guy came and sung an Otis Redding song, and my word, I thought it was better than Otis Redding. He was absolutely excellent. I'm talking about Terence Trent D'Arby, and this is the first album, and it was probably the best. But the problem with this guy was that he was good, and he knew it, and he had an ego, and he thought he was better than everybody else. And he kind of killed his career before it really got going. But If You Let Me Stay, Wishing Well, Dance Little Sister. What a great album this was. And he should have been a much bigger star than he was. So should these guys. Swing Out Sister. What a group they were. Breakout, Twilight World, Surrender. These were really good. The lead singer's voice is excellent. She had such a smooth voice, and their records were massive over here, and they too should have stayed around much longer than they did. I love their stuff. Let me talk about 1981. 1981, there was one album that came out, and I must have played it over and over and over again. Loved it then, still do now. In fact, I played it a couple of days ago. Quincy Jones, The Dude. My album of 1981. It had I Know Corrida on it, James Ingram, Just Once, and 100 Ways. Bet You Wouldn't Hurt Me. There's a song on there called Something Special that wasn't a single, but I loved. This album is just top notch. I totally loved this, and it's one that I'm so pleased I've got. There was a group that were made up originally of session singers, and they had a hit in the UK called Uptown Festival, and then they kind of split their way as session singers, and then three of them sort of became the backbone of the group, and they made some great songs, and they're called Shalimar. And I loved these guys. I thought they were great. Make That Move, Take That to the Bank. Although Take That to the Bank had a different lead singer. It was before he joined. They were so good. They were smooth. They were groovy. They were just great. I loved Shalimar. And so pleased to have that still. Let's move to one more. Kool and the Gang. Well, I still want our album after this, but I wanted to just bring this one up. Kool and the Gang are great. This one's in the heart. It's the one that's got Joanna on it. Big group in the UK from the funky days from way back when in the early 70s, when they were a proper funk band. James Taylor came in and they turned themselves into this disco soul band, and they were really great. I loved their stuff. And Kool and the Gang are a group that I'm really pleased to have in my collection. And one side note, I'm going to tell you this. The lead singer, James Taylor, my wife, Debs, he's godfather to her firstborn. Just thought I'd mention that. And finally, an album that I absolutely loved back in 1982. Daryl Hall, John Oates, Private Eye. It's the one with I Can't Go For That, No Can Do on it. It's just a great album. They're very underrated in the UK. I don't know how you feel about them in America, but over here, they never really had the prominence that they deserved. And so that's it. I've gone through a few of them. There's still more in there. But I wanted to show you albums that I haven't showed you before, because you get bored of keep seeing the same ones over and over again. So that's it from me. Are any of those albums that you had? Or were you more eclectic than me and like different stuff? Let me know down below what you have from those eras. I will see you next time, and who knows, I may come back and do another of these for that other eras that we talked about. I'll see you next time.